Hi, I'm John Byrne with Poets and Quants at INTERSECT at CMU. We're back after a really great speech by the head of artificial intelligence at Facebook. He had some really fascinating things to say. I hope you caught most of it. If not, we'll do a little summary a little bit later on. We're going to have a number of guests parade through here throughout the day. I'm going to have two people who are faculty members at the Tepper School of Business next. And then while everyone breaks here for a lunch, we're going to have really something special for you. We're going to have about a dozen different MBA students at Tepper talk about their experience, their journey here, how technology is being deployed. And that's going to be probably one of my favorite things to do because I love talking to MBA students. Okay, first off, we're going to introduce a professor of operations at Tepper. Hi.
Hi, nice to meet you.
So, what do you think?
I love the talk.
I did too. What did you find out that you didn't know?
I didn't know how much Facebook was really spending on non-advertising related AI. I would say it's not a surprise that they want to match ads to people.
Yes,
I mean,
indeed.
that's their business. But I didn't know how much they were spending and thinking about image recognition and recognition of 3D videos. I think the online, like just-in-time recognition of 3D videos, I think that was all pretty new to me.
Actually, what they're doing and the money they're spending is going to have applications far beyond the Facebook platform, it seems to me.
And I think what is different about them is they seem to be much more open in getting the research out to the public, in the sense that I would have thought they would like to hold it inside patent hundreds of these things and basically say this is only for us. The fact that they have an open AI platform, they're working so openly with universities, that is different from, I think, many of the other tech giants that we know.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Now, you've been described as an intellectual capitalist. Could you explain that to me?
Sure. I called myself an academic capitalist. I came in as a professor. I like doing math and computer science, but I wanted to solve practical problems. So my academic work is creation of scalable algorithms. Right? Can you solve practical problems at scale? And
Give me a specific.
So you have a global supply chain, let's say, of a company like Unilever, or pick your favorite company that has factories around the country, around the world. Estee Lauder, for example, distribution centers, and they sell stuff around the world. And somebody has to figure out where do they make what, when, and how do they do the logistics and distribution. So in the past, these things were either done at a local level, or based on rules of thumb, hoping that things would work out fine. And I created a set of algorithms in the early 90s that would look at the entire system and say, if I had all the data, I would be able to give much better information on when to make something, what to make, and how to send it. So we called it Enterprise Inventory Optimization, EIO. And where I switched from being a professor writing these papers is I decided to create a software company called SmartOps.
Right.
And became the CEO, which was a bit surprising because professors, should not be
rarely CEOs.
Yeah, or they're quickly replaced by their venture capitalists.
Indeed.
But in my case, actually, the venture capitalists seemed to like the fact that I was a bit of a geeky type. And I ran the company for 11 years, and we sold it to SAP, and now it's part of kind of the SAP family. And so I think that's where the academic capitalist comes from, as basically a professor who became an entrepreneur.
Now, one of the things we've heard here this morning is great worry and fear about the use of technology and how it's going to change the way we work and live. But you've actually been involved in something that I find fascinating. You've basically deployed supply chain logistics models to make liver transplants more efficient.
Kidney transplants.
Kidney and liver, right?
Yes.
Okay. So talk to our audience about that. How did you do that?
So first, I wanted to do something different from software entrepreneurship and move from just business value creation to what we now call social enterprise. Try to solve problems of society that might benefit from technology and business thinking. So the first move was driven by the fact that I wanted to do something that would be not just business like stock price increase, because
Right.
I did that. I used to joke, I make rich people richer, right? And that was kind of my line of business.
Even in operations management, arbitrage.
Yeah, there is. There turns out to be a lot of money to be made. But I really thought, what if we could apply analytics, technology, and this kind of thinking into a problem that our society was facing? And one of the things that attracted me to organ transplantation was that it was actually a supply-demand mismatch problem.
Right.
The problem was not that people didn't know how to do a transplant. They were pretty good at it. I mean, kidney transplants are more or less successful, so are liver transplants. These are complex things. So I think the surgeons are great. The technology is good. The problem has been the unevenness in access. A long time in California, much less in Tennessee, and that's why Steve Jobs took his plane. And so it became a supply and demand mismatch problem. And I thought, as an operations professor, I think, how to manage supply, demand, and logistics mismatches and analytics for that. And so I proposed a solution where we would deploy private jets on demand and democratize Steve Jobs. And that's
That were standing idle.
that
right?
was standing idle, and those folks would want their jets to be used. And for this purpose, they, as long as you match cost, they would be happy with it, right? And so we found a lot of unused assets that we could redeploy, really, for this form. And you could give kidney and liver transplant patients what Steve Jobs had for less than $10,000 of flying hour, and so you can save your life for $10,000. Then I started talking to insurance companies and said, folks, you pay a lot of money for dialysis. Imagine if I could take a few months off that payment. Right? And so, without going into names, there are insurance companies that are basically providing this service for free because they're going to save money on dialysis. So that is, I think, a use of supply chain management and operations thinking that I think surprised people.
Indeed. So instead of arbitraging stock prices, you're arbitraging
the supply-demand mismatches that
with
exist
insurance companies.
With insurance companies, right?
That's great. I love it.
Yeah.
How do you bring these themes into a classroom at Carnegie Mellon?
Quite directly, actually. For example, Harvard Business School wrote a case about my company, OrganJet, and I'm a guest speaker at Harvard every year. Since I can't go everywhere, I've made some videos that they teach at Ross and other schools. But of course, at Carnegie Mellon, I can teach the case myself.
In person.
Indeed. Every time, right? So, so in one of my electives, where I teach service operations and service management, I do spend some time on social enterprises and use the Harvard case to teach it. And the students get a kick out of it because they usually read a Harvard case about somebody they don't know. And this is a Harvard case about a Carnegie Mellon professor, right?
Indeed.
And
so the protagonist is front and center.
Right, front and center. And I tell them, you can criticize it, you can ridicule it. I'll try not to give you a bad grade, but let this be a learning experience, kind of a thing. So,
and what issues does that case bring forth?
A couple things. First, whether the system, how did the system get to be what it is? So it kind of lets people understand how institutions kind of recreate themselves, why there is difficulty in change, why people have identified the problem, proposed methods, and why those methods have not made progress. So I think part of it is general learning that change is difficult. Change in businesses are difficult, but at least in business you're an objective. You say, look, I make money, and at some point people believe that you make money and they say, let's try it. But when you're dealing with things like society, this is much harder change to make. The other issue they learn is how decentralized and fragmented decision making is. This is not a centralized system. We are not in South Korea or in Germany or maybe even in UK where maybe somebody is powerful enough and they argue it out, and then it gets more or less implemented, right? In
Right.
the United States, we are a very decentralized, fairly autonomous group of folks, and that's kind of what we like about our society.
Indeed.
And now you try to bring, all of these folks together and say, hey, I think we have a problem, and some of them actually don't even agree we have a problem. And then even those who agree that we have a problem don't agree with one of the solution methods, right?
We're seeing a lot of that in our political system today.
Let me not go down that path. So I think they learned that. And then I think what attracted Harvard to write the case and other media to cover it is that I found a solution that required nobody's approval. I could do this as a private individual. Multiple listing was always allowed. I'm just making multiple listing more accessible to more people.
Close, you know.
Right.
And I think what surprised me the most is how much the organ transplant community has embraced me. They now give me new projects to do. They say, hey, we have other problems. Maybe somebody of your analytic skills and your math skills can help us do better allocation of livers between cancer and non-cancer patients. They're dealing with an issue where shorter patients or women in particular have to wait much longer for a liver because the matching doesn't work out, and so they want to see a fairer allocation. And if I could give them, some rules on how to do a fairer allocation of livers. So from somebody who had nothing to do with organ transplantation, we at Carnegie Mellon have become like go-to people to do analytics and basically policy changes.
What intrigues me about the example here is it is not just business, it is not just technology, it is exactly what we're talking about today. It's an intersection of interdisciplinary collaboration, making all the players from very different points of view come together to make something happen.
And for the goodness of society,
Right.
much broader than just, like economic benefit, for example.
Indeed.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think I've enjoyed bringing my research to the classroom. I think we also benefit from the fact that the students who come here want to do more tech. They want to
Right.
do more math. They want to know what's kind of not out there yet. And so in that sense, when I think about potentially my colleagues who are professors at other schools, they are forced to teach more cookie cutter classes, because the students want, the tried and tested that they can take to Wall Street
Sure.
right now. I think some of our students come in saying, show me what's not out there that I could potentially, use as an arbitrage to further my own.
So they're thinking about entrepreneurs from day one.
They are. We have several students who have taken my classes. Many of them have founded companies. I'm actually an investor in a couple of the startups here. And going back to the capitalism part, I'm a limited partner in a Palo Alto venture capital fund. So I basically introduce the students to VCs on the West Coast and tell the VC, since you have my money anyway, so would you mind deploying it towards my students?
So you are more than an intellectual capitalist. You're an intellectual connector.
I'm certainly a connector, but this is this conference to me epitomizes, I think, what it is that we do here. To me, the silos of research, teaching, bringing value to the market through technology are not three different things. They are actually the same thing. It is the same thing.
Great point.
And to me, when people say, how do you merge these silos, I've never felt they were silos. When I wrote a paper, I wanted to create a scalable algorithm. I was thinking about how it would get deployed and then how I would make money doing it. So it was all together.
I love that. All right, Professor Tepper, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
It was a pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you.
We'll have our next guest now. And Carnegie Mellon's Tepper School of Business has always been based on the hard stuff, quantitative science. Now we're going to talk to someone, Leanne Meyer, who's the Executive Director of Accelerate Leadership, which is really the soft stuff, isn't it? Oh, it turns out that they're not going to bring Leanne on right now. Instead, we're going to have another guest. See, they love changing the tables on me, huh?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Rebecca Doerge. I'm Dean
Hi,
of the Mellon
Rebecca.
College of Science.
Oh,
here
welcome.
At Carnegie Mellon. Thank you
That's
very much.
great.
Thank you.
So what do you think of what we've heard today so far?
I think it's the future, and I think that Carnegie Mellon is absolutely the right place to have all of this happen. And the interdisciplinary environment of Carnegie Mellon is one of the things that talked me into taking this job. So I've been here for 2 years.
Where'd you come from?
I came from Purdue University.
Purdue, another great place.
Another great place.
Where technology is very important.
Much bigger, but not nearly as interdisciplinary and as part of the culture as here at Carnegie Mellon.
I think one of the founding ideas of building the Tepper Quad was that it would be sort of a center for interdisciplinary collaboration.
Yes.
How do you see that happening as someone from outside the business school?
First of all, I want to say that we have a very successful collaboration through the computational finance program with Tepper.
Right.
And
the Masters in Computational Finance.
We have a master's degree in computational finance that involves very heavily our math department.
Right.
So, and I cannot think of another program in the country that is so successful. And as you were mentioning before, the silos between departments and colleges so low.
You'll want to
as
have
that.
a microphone.
As far as Tepper, the location of the building is key because it sits in a very accessible place. And
which is unusual for a business school in and of itself, because
they're usually
business
tucked away.
schools usually standalone institutions
That's right.
that sit at the edge of the campus.
And they don't talk to anyone else.
Yeah, and remember that's because the real academics, quote unquote, at the university didn't want those business types screwing up things.
Because we became academics for a reason, right? Yeah, exactly. And we don't see a lot of that at Carnegie Mellon. The business folks are entrepreneurial. The Swartz Center is a great example of that. And really, I think that business and forward-thinking technology is the future of science with respect to the Mellon College of Science. And so we intend to embrace all of Carnegie Mellon, including Tepper and this great building, Tepper Quad, in our future, for sure.
So you came here 2 years ago. The biggest single surprise for you is what?
The biggest single surprise for me is that I don't have to explain interdisciplinary research to anyone.
I love that.
So by training, I am a statistician who went into genetics, genomics, agriculture, and not one person at Carnegie Mellon has asked me, what's the connection between genetics and statistics? Here,
it's a given.
It's a given. And I've already had calls from the Robotics Institute. They're building robots to go through fields of Ethiopia to collect data. I've had calls about AI. We've had calls about automating biology. This is a really fun place.
And clearly, based on the early conversations of the conference today, we're in for a lot of change.
Yes.
A lot of it's going to be positive, and some of it may be negative.
I think that you're absolutely right. There will be positive and negative. That there's positive and negative in everything that we do in the world, and
That's for sure.
And it's our job to be at the forefront of that, and to help guide those advances for good, and anticipate those advances for bad.
Well, you're training the next generation of people who will actually
yes.
make many of these decisions.
Yes.
So I feel like they're in good hands, and so are we.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for coming
you very
by
much.
and chatting.
Pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure, really.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to have another guest, and I'm wondering if someone is going to pull a surprise on me again. Maybe not. Let's see. Who do we have?
Hi, John. I'm Leanne Meyer from
You are Leanne. Oh, my goodness. Okay. So Leanne is the Executive Director of Accelerate Leadership, which is a leadership program here at Tepper School of Business. And, in my previous intro, one point that I was trying to make is that, the Tepper School is really founded on quantitative science and behavioral science and bringing together the quants and that part of it.
Yes.
You're on the soft side.
Well, we don't like to say.
Well, I know, but
soft
there's hard
skills
stuff and there's soft stuff.
No, and in a career, the soft stuff is the hard stuff.
That I've heard that many times, and I actually believe that, to be honest.
It's true, yeah.
So how do you approach the job of leadership development at Tepper?
Yeah. Well, to your point, John, I think what we know to be true is our students leave Tepper and they go on to leadership positions in organizations. Right. You look at the panels that we've had and the leadership positions that our graduates are in, and their soft skills come into play in the organizations they're in. And so what we're focused on is giving our students the leadership skills that they need to be successful in the organizations that they go on. So that's what we're focusing on in the Accelerate Leadership
But there's
Center.
been a dramatic shift in the approach to leadership development.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that shift and what the consequences are of it?
I think what to us is very exciting in the Leadership Center is that we're focused on giving students the behavioral skills that we know will make a difference. And so we focus on that by leadership assessment. Students take on their very first day when they get here in their orientation program. And then we have executive coaches who are embedded on campus, who work full-time with our students while they're here. So our students have this amazing luxury of working one-on-one with executive coaches over the 2 years they're with us. And then we do workshop programming while they're here. And then this year we're very excited. We're launching a lot of programming where we're bringing in the arts, where evidence is showing that the arts bring in new ways to develop.
Wait a minute,
I know,
like writers, painters, sculptors.
Exactly.
Seriously.
We had the head of the School of Art in our orientation sessions with our MBA. We're bringing in our designers from the School of Design to do human-centered design thinking with our MBA students. Our team members at the Brooklyn Book Festival this weekend. We're in for some exciting times here at the Tepper School.
That sounds really cool, but what can a business person learn from a ballet dancer?
How to be on point.
Touche.
Yeah.
You know, that actually you're involved in something that I think is an underestimated aspect of business education, and that is personal development. You know, you think business schools and MBAs, and you think accounting, finance, marketing, strategy, and all the disciplines that make up the field of business, but you don't necessarily think of personal development and how that leads into being a more effective leader, having self-confidence to lead, and having difficult conversations with people, which is really the essence of leading others.
We take it very seriously. We have a number of very specific competencies and skill sets that we focus on. Some of them include things like how to have difficult conversations, but there are things like how to delegate, how to give and receive feedback, how to coach other people, how to have influence without authority. So those are very specific skills that students learn while they are here that we know are effective in workplaces.
Now, does your program run the entire scope of the 2-year MBA experience?
Yes. So it runs the full scope of the 2-year MBA experience, and for our students who are part-time online, it runs for the full-time, the 3 years, and for our alumni who leave, they have full access to our program after our experience. So what is amazing, we're seeing a lot of our alumni reach out to our center and use our coaches back in the workplaces they're in, which the value of that to me is often far more valuable than just while our students are here.
That's really true.
Yeah.
Now, Leanne, how long have you been in charge of Accelerate?
I've only been in charge 2 years.
Now, what
I come from industry, and that to me is what's very exciting about the Tepper School is I think they understand these are workplace skills. So everyone in our unit comes from industry, comes from places where they've worked in the specific industries that our students will be going into.
Now, what have you personally learned about leadership since you've been here?
I've learned the importance of the soft skills because I think, we know how important the quant skills are, and we've had a whole conference built to understand what that means.
That's
but
true.
I think we're focusing on what does it mean for humanity and society, and I think Tepper is putting the resources about understanding what is the responsibility of leadership when we look at the impact of big data and tech, what are leaders called to do in this space, and that's the focus of the center. And there's a responsibility for leaders in the space that our center is looking at.
How receptive are students to the idea of these soft skill development exercises?
I think they're receptive because our students are aspirational. They have big dreams for who they want to be in the world, and they understand these skills are going to get them there.
Right. Well, Leanne, thank you so much.
Thank you very
really
much.
Appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Thank you. Thank you for your
I
time.
would love to enroll in your courses.
Please
My
do.
goodness,
We're on the
I think
third floor.
I could really benefit from them. My goodness.
Third floor. Thank you.
All right, we have another guest coming in, and I'm going to have him introduce himself. Hi, I'm John Byrne.
Hello, John. I'm Jim Garrett. I'm the Dean of the College of Engineering. Here at
Indeed
Carnegie
you
Mellon.
are, one of 4 deans here today.
Right. So it's a great day here for,
it really
for
is.
Carnegie Mellon University.
It's a special day. Of course, it's part of the grand celebration of the Tepper Quad. And, you know, while it is the home of the business school, it's much more than that. For you, what does it mean in your school?
Well, first of all, Carnegie Mellon University has a long and storied history of interdisciplinary collaboration being our special sauce.
Yes.
And so what this new Tepper Quad does is it adds to, accentuates, really causes a greater amount of that kind of collaboration to be possible. This event today is really highlighting, I think, the kind of cooperation that is going to be needed going into the future. Smart cities, for example, that we just talked about, isn't going to happen by just engineers creating technology and deploying it. It's going to require, you know, behavioral economics folks to be understanding how do people react to this, and how do we, in fact, create technologies that are going to, in fact, enhance those natural behaviors. How do we, in fact, pay for it? I mean, there's going to be an important amount of research. How do we set up a platform that allows the entrepreneurship in this space? It's sort of like what we saw Jerome Pacenti talking about. Can you set up a platform that allows the entrepreneurial spirit and much more activity to happen that isn't driven by just the big tech?
The other interesting thing is what Secretary Fox said. It's going to require smart government.
Exactly. If we don't have policymakers and city leaders that understand what is possible, what should be, what we should be careful about, that is also critical for this to happen.
Now, you are in one of the hottest fields ever right now.
It's fun.
It's got to be a lot of fun, a lot of change, but also a lot of demand, right? I mean, a lot of students are clamoring. Used to be years ago, moms wanted their children to be doctors or lawyers. Then it became business people with, you know, the likes of Mark Zuckerberg or Steve Jobs. Now, I think they want their kids to be computer scientists. That's the future.
Engineers and computer scientists.
Well, yes,
that's right.
indeed.
The great thing about it is that, first of all, at Carnegie Mellon, we want them to be engineers and computer scientists, but we also want them to understand and value these other dimensions that are so important. Like I said, what Carnegie Mellon attracts are not just those who want to be in technology, but that want to work at that interdisciplinary nexus. That you know, we start from the day the students come in as first years, exposing them to team-based projects, exposing them to courses and activities across the campus. And we try to have Carnegie Mellon graduates that are comfortable in working across these disciplines, because that's going to, in fact, differentiate them and in fact, help us to solve the problems truly, not just from a single dimension.
How do you get that kind of collaboration across the different schools and departments and people?
Well, I have to say I've been lucky because this is a culture that's been at Carnegie Mellon for a long time, and so self-selection is
a big deal.
It is,
right?
And in fact, many of our faculty come here and say, "I'm very interested in this dimension of Carnegie Mellon. It's something that's important to me." And so we also, some of our students may come in thinking they want to be unidimensional, and very quickly discover that there are many great opportunities here to explore and come away with a much more multi-dimensional experience than they thought they were going to get. Now, some do come in and they stay very focused and deep, and that's okay too. You can do that at Carnegie Mellon.
And we need people to do that as well.
We need both. We need a diversity. And another theme you heard this morning was the importance of diversity in terms of perspective, culture, background, race, gender.
True.
We need to have that kind of diversity to truly solve these problems. And I think the students at Carnegie Mellon do self-select to come to Carnegie Mellon because of this culture that we have here.
I think there's a term that describes that. It's called collective intelligence.
You know, and it's so much more important today because these problems are exponentially increasing in terms of the amount of knowledge you need to bring. No single person has the knowledge to solve these problems. It really does require this interdisciplinary team to be able to work and on it. And I think that you saw 4 deans here today. You mentioned it coming in. That's not just done for show. We really do enjoy working together.
I love that. Well, congratulations on the
Thank
new
Thank
building
you very
here,
much, John.
and on future collaborations across the boundaries.
Thank you,
of
and
academia.
I look forward to sharing Bob's office too.
I haven't had a chance to look at that. I got to go in.
Take care.
Bob, of course, is Bob Damon, the dean, who really spearheaded this new building and went out and raised a lot of money to make it happen, including a 1/3 contribution from David Tepper, whose name is on the school and is a graduate of the Tepper School. So now we have yet another guest. We have 3. Oh, here are my second-year MBA students. Oh my goodness, this is fantastic. Okay, so why don't you guys introduce each other? Mm-hmm. And I know you're the head of the Graduate Student Association. Yes. Am I right?
That is correct.
Okay, so your name is?
My name is Victoria Lopez, and I'm the president of the student government here at Tepper.
Great. And?
Hi, I'm Ben Strickhouser. I'm the student government admissions officer here at Tepper.
Great.
My name is Brandon Leung, and I'm president of Out and Allied at Tepper, and also events coordinator for the Finance Club.
Fantastic. So why don't we go to you first, okay? Tell me about the culture here. What's it like to be a student at Tepper?
So I think we probably have one of the best cultures of any program that I've seen. It's a very collaborative, supportive culture. We are known as being a somewhat rigorous program, as you might have heard, but I think the support that we all show each other as students and that sense of unity is really what gets us through the program and to build these lasting relationships that then help us build networks once we leave school. And it's also a very energetic culture. Right now, if you've seen with the building and everything that's going on, there's a lot of excitement here at Carnegie Mellon and at Tepper.
So you spent your first year in the MBA program in the old building, and now you're about to spend your second and last year in the new building. What's the difference to you? How does it feel?
It feels very different, and I think for us on the student government specifically, we're trying to find ways to preserve that collaborative, tight-knit community that we had in Posner because of the space, but here we're also trying to be more open to the other programs on campus, the School of Computer Science, Hines, the School of Design, the Arts, and bringing all of these communities into the Tepper community and kind of building this larger, more collaborative culture with other programs that fuels the innovation we're looking for.
That's a big task.
Yes, it is, but it's very exciting.
So Brandon, from your perspective, what has this move been like?
This move has been great. I feel like the new building really contributes to the community. We've been able to have events that host not only our school, but we also been able to host undergraduate students as well as other peoples from different programs in order to build a bigger community at Carnegie Mellon.
Good to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, Ben.
Yes.
Are you happy to be in the middle of this transition, or would you have preferred to have spent all 2 years in one place? Be honest.
Yeah, that would have been the easy thing, to stay in one building the whole time, not have any changes. But this is really exciting, and I think everyone really shares the enthusiasm of, and really the class of 2019, we get to be between both buildings. It's a very cool spot to be in. And we're just really happy, I think, pretty much everyone to be able to be part of that transition and be able to connect with graduates of the past who used to be in the GSIA program, as it used to be known.
That's right.
And now be part of the new Tepper Quad and really be able to bridge both of those areas.
Graduate School of Industrial Administration. That's a mouthful.
Yes.
I like Tepper School much better.
Yes.
So this is going to be a recruitment tool as well, because I can imagine that would-be students who would come here, see this place, are going to be wanting to be part of this. Don't you agree?
Absolutely. I think we really did enjoy our old building and how close we were able to be to each other, but at the same time, I don't
You're
think
going to
it
be
quite...
just as close.
Oh, we will
Yeah.
be, for sure. I mean, it's a hallmark of our program, but at the same time, I don't think it quite, did justice to just, how big and how monumentous our program really is and the things that we're capable of. So this building really does showcase, just really what you can achieve and the things you can do here at Carnegie Mellon.
Okay, I should just refer to the bigness of the place. We have 5 stories. Each level is an acre in size. There are lots of places for people to collide and have informal gatherings. It's a very transparent place. I feel like I'm in a beehive. You know, when I'm in the lobby and I look up, there are all these different levels, and you can see everybody, and you can see every interaction that's going on, which is a really cool feature of the building. So, how are you going to make this, you know, reality? How are you going to pull people together here? You're the president of the Student Association. What plans do you have to not only get the Tepper experience on a steroid level, but also to fulfill the dream for this building, where business students work with engineers and computer scientists and public policy students and design students?
So I think we've already started to see a lot of it. We have our classmates over at Heinz who are coming over in that Roars Commons. It's an incredible space where we do have incredible food, and that's a big draw. We also have spaces.
Food is always a big draw.
And we also have spaces like the Swartz Center, where that's really where all of these different schools are going to come in.
That's the Center for Entrepreneurship.
The Center for Entrepreneurship, correct. And then also just Simmons, the balcony spaces. We have a lot more spaces that hold more people, so we really plan on having social events where our peers across campus can come in and we can see them and collaborate with them and also get to know them and build them into our networks. So we have a couple of things on the horizon, both social and professional, that we can work with them on.
Okay, so Victoria, what was your undergraduate major?
I was a politics and philosophy student.
Oh my God, we have a poet here at a quant school.
Yes.
How did that core curriculum go for you?
It's been, you know, I mentioned before how we're a collaborative culture and we really support one another. And I know Ben can speak to this as well, that the quantitative aspects were perhaps more of a challenge for me than my engineering peers, but we're all there to help one another along the way. And perhaps where they might help me with a quantitative problem set, I can help them on public speaking or thinking about business concepts, since I came from consulting. And there's writing elements in the program too. So I think we each find naturally where we fall and how to help one another.
Right. Brandon, what was your undergraduate major?
My undergraduate major was finance.
Finance. Okay, yes. So you're a quant.
Yes, I am a quant. I'm very heavy quant.
So you knew this would be a more natural home for you, yes?
Yes, it is. Well, okay. So one of the big things about Tepper is actually our ability to build leaders. And so part of our curriculum is that all the students have to go through presentations, and they also have to go through how to manage teams. And so as much as it is good to be a quant here, it's also really good to have those leadership qualities that help us build and become better, successful businessmen and women.
Okay, we just heard before you guys came on that the soft stuff is indeed hard. Was it hard for you?
Yes, it's actually difficult. I remember spending even more time writing the essays to have speeches for classes than even perhaps the quant stuff. Because quant stuff I covered in my undergrad, obviously. That's like
sure
part and parcel. But what really matters here is being able to communicate that quant to a greater audience in order to build bridges across the quants and the poets.
Now, Ben, you look like a math major. Were you?
Interesting. I was not. So my undergrad was actually in logistics and intermodal transportation. So
wow, that's heavy.
It sounds heavy. It was a little bit, but somewhere in the middle, I would say I probably consider myself more of a poet than a quant.
And how was the transition into Carnegie Mellon?
So I knew that it would be hard because it had been almost a decade since I was doing a lot of these math courses that I took as a freshman in undergrad. I was concerned about that, but really just to go back to some of the things that Victoria said, the people here are great. And this is a place where you can succeed on your own, but you really do your best whenever you collaborate with everyone else in the program. And I found just so many people, classmates of mine, who have been willing to help me with things that I may have been challenged with. And that's going out to anyone who's thinking about applying. Don't let the rigor of the program or the quantitative aspect, worry you, because you're going to find people here who are absolutely willing to help you because of the community that we have.
Yeah, I find that's really true, because I think really the dirty little secret of every business school is most of the learning occurs through your classmates. Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to minimize the importance of great faculty. That is a real solid part of the educational experience. But what you learn from each other is unbelievable. Mm-hmm. And Victoria, as you were pointing out before, coming here as a poet, you probably got great support from the quants on the hard stuff. And Brandon, you probably got plenty of support as a quant from the poets.
Yes.
And that's the magic of business school experience, where You build on people's strengths and you minimize their weaknesses. Well, thank you, all three of you. Good luck in your second and final year. I bet you when you finally say goodbye to this place, you're going to do so in ways that are kind of sad and maybe even bittersweet. Don't you think?
Yes.
Yes.
Definitely.
Definitely.
It's been a pleasure. Victoria?
Thank you so much.
Brandon,
Nice to
thank
meet you.
you.
Thank you.
Dan,
Very nice
thanks so
talking with
much.
Thank you.
And congratulations on your new home. It's fabulous.
you.
Really
Thank you so
fabulous.
much.
Very excited.
Very excited.
Okay, super. Okay, now we have a real special treat. Two more MBAs from Tepper. Come on in. We have a couple. You two are actually married.
We are, yes.
Oh my goodness, and you're going through this together.
We are.
We are.
Okay,
yeah.
introduce yourselves.
I'm Bill Henderson. I'm a first-year student here at Carnegie Mellon at the Tepper School of Business, and I'm focused on operations right now.
Great.
And I'm Annie Henderson. I'm also a first year, and I'm married to Bill. Yeah, so it's been a really fun process so far.
And you even have children, right?
We have a daughter, a 13-month-old. So
Wow.
she's frequently here on Friday nights for social hours, running around the quad. So, yep, she makes an appearance every week.
So let's start from the beginning. You were both in the military, in the U.S. Army. You both have had different roles in the U.S. Army. When did you get out?
So Bill and I met at the United States Military Academy, and we both commissioned as second lieutenants. We served for 7 years, and our last duty station was in Fort Carson, Colorado. And, you know, we had Olivia, our daughter, and we just thought it was a great time to transition. So we got out just 3 months ago.
Yeah,
So
recently.
very recently.
Right. And I'll say what many people may know and what some people may not, that really an MBA program is a great way for people to transition from military life to
Yes.
civilian life.
Absolutely.
Now,
Yep.
what makes this more interesting for me is how you're doing this as a couple with a child, no less.
Why make it easy, right?
Oh, boy.
We
right.
like to challenge ourselves.
Yeah.
So.
Clearly. So while you're sitting in accounting classes and finance classes, who's watching your baby?
She is actually at daycare during the day.
Oh, okay.
But we do have her parents. Her parents grew up around here and live here
Yes.
in Sewickley, Pennsylvania. So they've been a lot of help at night when we have to stay
that's
late.
spectacular.
Yeah,
That's right,
absolutely.
because one
Yeah.
of you, I think it's you, who is from the area.
Yes, I'm from Pittsburgh, so I got to come back home, which was such a bonus to going to Tepper. But they're pivotal in this whole experience as an MBA program. They watch our daughter all the time at night because one of us is usually here till like 10 or 11 at night studying
Wow.
with our classmates. So we've made it work and a lot of time management skills.
And Bill, you're originally from Syracuse, right?
Syracuse, New York. Yeah, so this is the first time actually in the 7 years we were in the military that I've been in driving distance from my parents. So that's also been nice. We've been in Seattle, Korea, Colorado.
Yeah.
So all over the country, not much East Coast. So it's
Yeah.
been great to
It's
be back.
exciting to be back home.
Yeah.
Okay, now you did something that not a lot of people do, which is basically apply together to business schools.
Yes.
What was that like? I mean, I can't imagine because you both want to be in the same place.
Yes.
Yeah.
So do you, when you file those applications, do you cross your fingers and hope both of you are going to hit magic or what?
Yeah, so I think there was definitely some strategy to it. First, we had to narrow down which schools we both really loved, and fortunately, we both loved Tepper. I mean, it was our #1 school to begin with,
That's
and
great.
the Tepper faculty was so inviting to the idea of having a married couple, and I think we both met the qualifications to the school. And you know, we came here for our visit, and just seeing it, I think it was a done
Yeah.
deal for us. Yeah.
We were really drawn in by the community too. Obviously,
Yeah.
it has a great academic reputation, but the community is so close knit and
Yeah.
tight knit. Not only the faculty, but our peers have been great and accommodating to us. It's been a very nice community to join as a family.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, we're just into a few weeks into the first year. What are your initial impressions? Is this harder than boot camp in the Army or what?
I think it's more demanding. I mean, business school asks a
More
lot. of
demanding than West Point?
It's different.
It's
Yeah,
different,
different.
in different ways. But I mean, your time management skills in business school have to be on at all times.
Right.
And just managing that, networking, recruiting. I think it's the busiest we've been. So in that sense, for me, it's a little more difficult than maybe certain aspects of the Army.
Yeah, and our daughter throws a little bit
Yeah.
of a lovely wrench into
Oh,
the system.
I can only
but, yeah.
imagine.
Yeah.
Now, going through the program together, though, not only bonds you even more than you've already been bonded. But I think that it's probably very helpful because when someone doesn't understand something, the other one can help out.
Yeah, absolutely. In
Right.
fact, we've started to strategize a little bit in that sense and try and use each other as a resource.
Yeah.
Since we don't live right in the area, sometimes I'll have to go home early and she'll be able to stay here late. But then once we put our daughter down, she'll help me out and kind of
Yeah.
teach back what she's learned while she's been at school in the evening. So it's been nice.
And then, of course, the recruiting piece. I think, if you came to our house at 11 o'clock at night, we'll be in the basement pretending to interview each other.
Yeah.
So it's fun in that sense.
No, really?
Yeah, we constantly practicing off each
She
other.
doesn't go very easy on me either.
I'm a good coach.
Yeah.
That's a great asset to have.
Yeah,
it really
absolutely.
is.
Yeah, it's been so much fun.
Much appreciated.
And clearly, you're even though you've only been here for a few weeks, I see the Carnegie Mellon University tie.
My mom got him that
Yeah.
tie. Yeah.
Oh, I love
to her
that.
mom, yeah.
That's really a great present.
Yeah.
Well, what advice do you have for other military people who are considering business school?
Yeah.
How do you ease the transition? How do you prep for it?
Yeah.
How do you make it successful?
So I think my biggest advice to veterans that are applying to business school is go to the school and see how the veteran community is. One of my favorite parts about being a first year at Tepper is we have 7 or 8 veterans that we hang out with and study with every night. So it's such a strong veteran community. And different MBA programs, sometimes it's a smaller community, but for me it was, wow, Tepper is so supportive of its veterans. So that was important to me.
Yeah, and I would say in preparation, not only going to the school, but just reaching out to the community in general.
Right.
Asking what you need to know, what you don't know. It's
Yeah.
such a drastic career change that just asking those questions and getting comfortable with what to expect was a big help.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
I think business schools really love vets. Vets have great leadership and teamwork ability. And obviously, vets tend to be quite disciplined and hardworking people, and they've often been in locations that are not necessarily the most desirable locations to be. So that makes vets really good hires and really good students in MBA programs.
Yeah, thank you. It's exciting to be here and be able to not only use our skills and integrate those skills with the other students, but then to learn from the rest of the student body too. There's so many people from a diverse background. It's been great.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
we talked about recruiting and the rehearsing in the basement that's going on in your home.
Yes.
As a couple, do you both have to be in an internship at the same company or the same city? How are you thinking about that?
No, I think logistically we're going to make that as easy as possible on us and just recruit for our best opportunity
Yeah.
over the summer. And if we have to separate for the summer, so be it. And we've done it before many
Sure.
times for
Yeah.
much
I'm sure.
longer, so it's nothing new to us. We'll make it work.
Yeah.
Okay, and ultimately, what do you want to achieve with the MBA? What are your goals? Do you know what you want to do?
I think for me personally, I would like to be in operations, but here at the Tepper School over the next 2 years, building a strong foundation in business is what I came here for, and it's what I'm learning. On top of that, and probably as important, just developing the relationships with not only my peers, but the alumni network is very important to me. You don't have to look further than this building to see that it's a very giving alumni network, and people like David Tepper are really giving back to the students who are here.
Yeah.
So when you say operations, do you mean operations in a company environment or maybe as a consultant? Or do you know yet?
Yeah, more so in a company environment. I like having a tangible asset, so probably staying away from the data side and actually shipping a tangible asset and being involved in the procurement and delivery, things of that nature.
Amazon, I think Bill is talking to you, okay? Annie, how about you?
I'm also interested in operations, but also marketing. So, 2 concentrations right now. So we'll see how it goes and plays out in the next couple months.
Really cool.
Yes.
Well, listen, good luck to both of you. You have a great journey ahead of you.
Thank you.
This will be a transformational experience, and you're starting it in a brand new place.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I know.
Thank you
Yes,
very much.
Thank you.
All right. It's been a pleasure.
Very nice to meet you.
Thank
That's
you.
great meeting you. Thank you.
Take care. All right. We're going to have some more MBA students come through here to talk about lots of different things, technology at Tepper, their journey to the school, what they hope to achieve. And I think you're really going to find the rest of this pretty interesting. So our next guest, we're going to have people talk about Tepper and technology, right? Oh, they're going to switch out my microphone. Can you imagine? I wonder why. Did I talk it to death? I hope not. All right, come on in here. Let's see. Who do we have?
Hi, I'm Matt Romeike.
Hey, Matt.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, Andrea Caralis.
Hi, Andrea.
Hi, I'm Katie Glass.
Hi, Katie. How are you three?
Doing well.
Okay, are you all first-year students or second-year students or a mix?
So we're all second-year students.
Okay.
We're all presidents or in leadership positions.
That's great.
Throughout the school.
So tell us what you lead.
So I'm the president of the Business and Technology Club.
Business and technology. All right. That's what this is all about.
I'm on our student government as our professional development officer.
Professional development.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. That scares me.
And I am the president of the Graduate Finance Association, so I guess the traditionalist up here at the moment.
All right. You're the Wall Street bound guy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess so.
So what's it been like, the experience of coming here for an MBA?
It's incredible. You have so many opportunities to meet with students across the campus, to meet with people of all different colleges, as well as people from different backgrounds. Getting to know all of my classmates as well as all the other people at CMU.
Cool.
For myself, this was an opportunity to really kind of dive deep into the tech industry. I actually had a finance background prior to business school, so it's been a joy to get to know and learn from all my classmates, my professors. Just being in the CMU environment has really exposed me to more than I could have imagined. So,
Andrea, what were you doing in finance before coming here?
prior to business school, I was actually in sales and trading. I spent my time doing currency markets.
Oh my God, that's a
for
rough and tumble
corporates.
part of the business.
It was a fantastic experience. I loved it. It was hard to leave, but I knew that the way technology was infiltrating that industry as well gave me an opportunity to really kind of get my feet wet and understand the tech side a little bit more.
Yeah. And your background?
I was coming from oil and gas. I was actually an engineer in my previous life.
Okay.
And CMU provided an excellent platform to jump into finance, but I'm actually on the tech side of investment banking, so I couldn't ask a better place to make that happen.
That's great. Now, you experienced the first year in your old haunts, and now you're in this brand new, beautiful building. What's your initial reaction to it? When you first walked in, what did you think?
It's such an impressive and amazing building, but it's also a really good place to meet and run into people. There are so many open spaces, the
Yes,
hallways,
it's really true.
it's meant to circulate through. And that's just given us the opportunity to spend so much more time with each other and get to know different people. It's been an incredible opportunity.
Definitely. I would agree. I think something that makes Tepper really unique is our community and how we all interact and get to know each other. We're a smaller class than some other schools. So, 235, I think, this year for our first years are about 210. So it's manageable. And I think in this new space, what we found is we can still have a larger space, but we still kind of hone in on that community and really enjoying the people around us.
Right.
I think most of this building has immensely improved our relationships with the first-year students.
Yeah.
I know in the old building, I kind of just parked and went to class and left. There wasn't too much mingling going on. But now I'm here. I'm almost incentivized to come and sit at a couch, and I'm meeting first years who I don't think I otherwise would have had the opportunity to meet. And it grows our networks as well as theirs and really makes a more cohesive unit for the school. So I'm very happy to call this home for now.
Actually, it's so cool you may not want to leave, right? You may not want to go home or to your dorm room or wherever you go.
We certainly spend a lot of time here. That's for sure.
Okay, let's talk about what your clubs do. So business and technology, what happens in that club?
So we're actually one of the largest club on campus because technology touches every angle of business.
So how many members do you have?
We have close to 300.
Whoa.
So it's 60 to 70% of the entire student body
Wow.
are part of our club. And I think that just shows the passion that we have here for technology. We focus a lot on preparing people to recruit, to go to technology companies, but also to learn about technology and to understand what are all of the different aspects and the roles and the way that you can get involved in the tech community and really be that next generation of leaders throughout it.
So in a way, your club is also a networking opportunity, right? So if I want to work for Amazon, and that's my heart's desire, you can hook me up with alumni who work there. You can hook me up with other people who are interviewing with Amazon to maybe, grease the skids and help me get there, right?
Well, exactly. It's all about connecting with alumni, connecting each other. We have a ton of opportunities. We bring 80 students out to Silicon Valley and Seattle.
The Treks.
At the Treks, we bring them out. We visit close to 30 companies in Silicon Valley and another 7 or 8 in Seattle.
When did you do your Silicon Valley Trek?
So last year we did it in January. This year it's coming up in October, so it's right around the corner.
Okay, who are you going to meet?
We have a ton of companies we're meeting with: Google and PayPal, Intuit, and then also some smaller tech companies like Asana, which is a really cool project management software tool.
Huh. That's really great.
Yeah.
And your club?
So my club's a little different.
Yes.
So my club, I would say our student government spans all the clubs. We're really supportive of all types of planning, all types of events. So as a professional development officer, my key focus is to be the student ambassador between our career office and our career development, as well as our leadership development. So the Accelerate Leadership Center is one of my favorite places to be on campus, mainly because not only is this a quantitative school and we really make sure we understand how to think in that way, we are also developing and building leaders. And the way you lead is understanding empathy. And the way you lead is understanding your behaviors and how that transposes among the people that you're working with. So we've spent a ton of time. Almost everyone here, I'm sure, has an Accelerate coach. And the coaching is one-on-one and intimate. And it's been the best. So my job is to make sure that I'm showing our first years what our resources are, how to best use them, but also promoting to our second years, the value of those resources. So I'm kind of the mama bear, making sure that everybody's ready and prepared for recruitment, but also making sure they're developing themselves in a way that will best present themselves and best present Tepper.
Everybody needs a mama bear.
I hope so.
Okay. In the finance club, what do you guys do?
So relatively geared towards finance, but knowing what we have here at Tepper and the propensity to sort of skew towards tech, we have made it a focal point this year to really highlight the fact that finance isn't just banking, it's not just asset management. You have finance roles in tech jobs, you have the new industry of fintech, and you have the ability to finance technology deals and companies. So one of the important things we're trying to highlight is this is not just a club for you to go into banking and put in your 16-hour days. You can find a role in a Google or an Amazon, working in the finance department, working on some really cool stuff. So while we do recruit for investment banking and your typical tracks, we're trying to take what we have here, especially at CMU, and really make that a focus of our finance as well.
Okay, let's do a lightning round. Name your favorite course and why.
So I took
so far.
Negotiations was my favorite course that I've had. Professor Chow is incredible, and it's really simulation based. So every class you come in and you're having a mock negotiation for a different scenario you would have in the real business world.
Are you a better negotiator now?
I am.
She won an award.
Whoa, all right.
Yes,
hey.
Thanks.
I love that.
I loved it, and I actually am now helping the professor TA the next round of courses. So it was my absolute favorite class. I really loved it.
That's great.
One of my favorite classes is actually the interpersonal communications classes that we have.
Soft. Wait, we're in the quant school. Come on.
Imagine. The thing is these are skills that really make you stand out and make you thrive in a business environment. So what we do is similar, where it's an active learning environment, where it's not really just lectures all day. It's every week you come in, you're prepared for a business scenario, whether you've got a crisis and then the CEO's coming in, and how do you manage this crisis? How do you work through it? How are you prepared to influence and listen to those around the boardroom? It's a very interactive class, and I think it's a very kind of real life simulation. So that's my favorite.
Great. Matt?
I was almost going to go soft again, but I guess I'll go with global economics. We take a great economics class our second semester. Well taught, phenomenal look at the way things work, I guess, at a rudimentary level, and a great introduction. So Lawrence Alice really teaches that. So shout out to global econ.
All right. 2 adjectives that best describe the MBA experience at Tepper. What are they?
Collaborative and challenging.
Okay. You're going to run
Ready?
out.
Yeah,
okay.
I know.
Do you want me to stall a
Collaborative
little
and
for you?
challenging.
Yeah, let me
2
think.
C's. Okay.
All right.
You're going to do the alliteration thing? Okay.
Maybe. I would say they're supportive. This is a very supportive environment, and I would also say it's challenging. It pushes me. I think that I've been pushed to really grow, and so it's maybe not an adjective, but it's how I would describe it.
That's good.
I'll go with rigorous and exciting.
Yeah.
Simple, but I think that that captures it for me at least.
Okay, those are all great adjectives. Now, what do the three of you hope to do with your MBA when you finally graduate and you leave here with your eyes moist, wishing that you could stay yet another year?
Wishing I could stay in this beautiful building. So I'm looking to go into the technology sector, mostly in product management. So those are my career aspirations. I want to help mold the tech products that are really changing the world around us.
And I should say to people who may not know this, again, that product management is one of the key roles in tech companies that MBAs fulfill.
Absolutely, yeah. It's you really become the voice of the customer, and you understand who your customers are, and then how do you create the technology or the innovations that need to happen to bring those products to life and to bring them to market.
I mean, the other cool part of that role, frankly, is you are, in effect, the CEO of a product.
Exactly.
So it's like a mini company CEO role. And what MBAs do, they train you to be general managers, and this is like an ideal job for an MBA.
Exactly. It's all about communicating and leading the team and understanding how your product is really going to differentiate itself in the market.
Okay, if there was any product in the world that you would love to be the manager of, what would it be? Don't tell me Alexa.
No, I won't.
Okay.
I actually am a huge fan of Mint.com. It's a finance tracking app for your personal finances. Intuit makes it. It's one of my favorite apps. It's been around for a really long time, but it's wonderful and I love it. And so if Intuit.
Okay,
If Intuit has any soft
Mint.com, Intuit, okay. I hope you're listening. I think when you do the trek and you go to Intuit,
exactly.
You're going to be shaking a lot of hands and having a lot of conversations. Okay.
I don't mean to repeat, but I'm also kind of headed towards the product management path. I think my background, I have 7 or 8 years of sales and finance, a heavy background in that. And so I think there's always a financial analysis to be done. There's always a business impact to be measured. And there's also always ideas to sell. And so I think where I'm building my skills and trying to enhance myself with the MBA to leave is understanding the computer science side, the engineering side, making sure I can work with really diverse cross-functional teams. And that's something I did in my past life on the trading floor. So it's something where there's actually a lot of correlation between the two, though you may not fully see it at the surface. But for myself, that's kind of my path leaving Tepper, hopefully.
Okay, now let me see if I can guess what Matt's going to do. He's going to be the founder of FinTech, right?
Unfortunately,
you got a FinTech idea, don't you?
I don't. I lifted the fog off my future, unfortunately, and accepted my offer already. So I'm heading.
Oh, congratulations!
Thank you.
That's great.
You. Makes this a lot less stressful coming up these next couple of months.
Are you going back to your internship employer?
Yup, going to head into investment banking in the technology sector. So
great.
At least
firm?
Covering. Heading up to Deutsche Bank in Boston.
Terrific.
Congratulations. Thank you.
That's got to be a relief to already have a job in your pocket.
Yeah. Doesn't hurt.
Yeah. Plus, the Career Management Office loves when MBAs convert their internships into full-time job offers.
And they don't have to see me again either, too, so they're probably happy about that as well.
Okay, what's your advice to would-be applicants to the Tepper School who are now in the cycle of applying and are filled with anxiety over whether or not their applications will lead to an invitation to interview?
I think the best way to prepare is to talk to students here, talk to alumni, get a feel for who we are.
Visit,
come see us. The best experience I had looking at MBA programs was when I started talking to students, and each student referred me to another student to talk to, and another student. We know each other. We're a small, tight-knit family. And so I may be able to answer 80% of their questions, but I know Matt can answer the other 20, so I'm going to refer them over to Matt and have the opportunity for them to get to know us and see the community that we have here and the people. That's the best part about Tepper.
Okay, that's going to be hard to beat, but let's try. Let's try.
That's okay. I think another thing you can think about in your application is telling your story, making sure that you connect the dots. I think there's something that we kind of craft as, I'm changing careers, as we're all explaining where we came from, why we're here today, and what our future is. if you can connect the dots in, you know, what you've done pre-MBA, what you've learned about your business school, and how the business school combined with your past set you up for your future career aspirations, then that's a really solid story. And I think that the more you focus on connecting your dots, the stronger your application will be.
Yep, and that goes to fit, because connecting
Exactly.
the dots leads to fit.
Leads to fit.
Right.
You guys covered it pretty well there. I'd just say to add an element of personality, I think, especially in your essay, because if you write an essay that's really not you, you make it to the interview, you can suss that sort of thing out in person.
Good advice.
So be yourself when it comes down to it, because that's who they want to be part of this class. So.
Well, thank you, and enjoy your new digs. I'm sure you'll make the best of them.
We enjoy it.
And congratulations. I think that this is really a fantastic new home. And you're taken care of already. You have your job. But I know you two are going to land those product management jobs without any trouble at all.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was great meeting you.
Coming
Great to
by.
meet you.
And
Thank
good
you.
luck.
Thank you, sir. It was a pleasure.
Thanks. All right. We are on to more stuff for you out there. Let's bring on our new... Oh, another mic switch. Am I wearing out the mics or what? Are the batteries going? Technology. Okay. All right. Let's bring on our next guest. Come on in here.
Hey, John.
Hey.
How are you? So good to see
are
you. Good, so
Oh
good to
my-
see you.
Look at this. Look
we
who we
got
have
we got
here.
a team. You know, every entrepreneurial team has a hacker, a hustler, and a drone consultant. Look at the way he's dressed.
I love this. I love this. Okay, first off, I need to say Dave Mawhinney is the executive director of the Center for Entrepreneurship at the Tepper School. So he's the guy who's going to make a lot of interdisciplinary collaboration happen. Right?
Absolutely.
And really, one of the best spaces in the entire building is that center.
The Swartz Center is beautiful, and Jim, you know, the gift from Jim and Susan Swartz has really transformed entrepreneurship at Carnegie Mellon.
And one of the cool things about the center is there are 10 startup garages in it. And not long ago, I visited one of them, and you were in there.
Yes. Yeah.
Tell us what you're doing.
Yeah, so my name is Xunjie Zhang, founder of Nimbus Robotics, and we build robotic shoes to allow people to, almost anyone, to go 2x or 3x faster without extra effort.
Robotic shoes.
Yes, indeed.
Which means you are deploying robotics and artificial intelligence in this new product.
Exactly.
So give me an idea of what's going to happen with this. I'm gonna put on my pair of shoes. I'm
Right.
probably not going to buy them at Tom McCann.
Yeah.
But I might buy them from Nike actually,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Someday.
Dick's
Yeah.
Sporting Goods.
Okay, there you
Yeah.
go. And they're actually going to allow me to
Yeah.
walk 2 or 3 times as fast as I can with
Exactly.
the same effort. Right?
Exactly.
How does that happen?
So I use artificial intelligence to figure out your intent to start, to slow down, to stop, pretty much anything, or even including when you go climbing up down the stairs. So when you climb stairs, they will intelligently lock the wheel, so you don't actually need to take the robotic shoes off. You can just go straight upstairs and then start walking.
So the
Boom.
shoes would be entirely intuitive. It would know not to trip me.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow, this is out of the Jetsons.
Yeah.
It is out of the Jetsons. And you know, one of the things about Carnegie Mellon is that we do hard tech. People don't know this, but the iPhone team was led by Matt Rogers, a CMU alum, arguably the most best consumer product of all time. But it's
True.
hard tech. This is hard tech, Nimbus Robotics, and that's what we're really good at here at CMU. And we're really excited about what Xunjie's doing. And you know, he can even do a demonstration for you
I would
today
love
if you'd like.
And let's show everyone the prototype device here, because this is, I mean, it's not necessarily a very attractive shoe. I don't envision this
It
on
will
the
get better.
runway in a fashion show.
Version 3 or 4,
You know?
it'll look like a Nike sleek shoe. It'll look like Allbird, right?
Yeah.
But explain this to us.
Yeah. So, all right. So, it's a pair. It's a battery power. It's using the lithium-ion power. Same type of battery, that powers Tesla cars, right? And it uses
Really?
yeah.
That's amazing.
Well,
It's not as big as a Tesla.
Not as big as a Tesla,
Right.
of course. We use much less cells, so
Of course.
the technology is slightly simpler for sure. We use the brushless motor because it gives you the highest power density, so we can compress everything into a small form factor as much as possible. And inside there's not only batteries but also the dry complicated mechanical drive chains. We have multiple layer of the control system, which not only does the complex motor control, but also doing the artificial intelligence at the same time, all in real time. Both shoes are communicating with each other. So in any case, if one have any issues or one of your leg trips, it will slow down. It will do whatever is necessary to keep your balance in the shape.
That's remarkable. Where does an idea like this come from?
Right. So I have always been excited about the mobility space. Like I've personally built, DIY'd my hoverboard, those you stand up, those mini segways, right?
So you were how old when you were on a skateboard?
You know what? I was never really good at skateboard. I tried to build electrical skateboard.
Right? Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah, exactly.
Clearly.
I can see. So the problem with all these existing products right now is they don't actually seamlessly integrate into the existing mode of commuting. Right? You cannot go stairs. You cannot easily carry these things into a subway or buses. You have to watch out bumps and cracks, and you have to slow down.
Sure.
So otherwise, you might get thrown off from skateboard.
But these are portable, right? You get to your office, you throw them in your backpack, and you walk up to your desk.
Absolutely.
Right? Bikes can't do that. Segway can't do that. The scooters can't do that, right? These can.
And as more people live in cities and they become more dense, and transportation getting around becomes more difficult, people will want to get around on their own and faster.
Yeah, there's an economic model. The closer you live to a subway station, the higher your rent is, right? So if you can live further away, you save money. But the good thing, if you're going 2 or 3 times faster, it saves you time. Right? It saves you time. It gives you multiple weeks of your life back in a year.
Exactly.
Okay, now here's what's interesting to me. You are not a business school student.
No, I'm not.
You were studying.
Yeah, I'm studying robotics. I spent
right.
2 years in Carnegie Mellon University's Robotics Institute, and that was sort of the result of my master's thesis project. Yeah.
Now, do you have any business school students on your team?
So I actually worked with business school student almost from day one. I probably know them from day one.
Yeah. So Xunjie came to our entrepreneurship boot camp what we held last weekend. I met him there. Immediately you could see the spark in his eye. You could see the motivation. And he actually took a lean entrepreneurship class with me in the Tepper School of Business. By far, he was my best student, right?
Right.
So I said,
that's got to say a lot.
We got to get some horsepower behind this guy. And so Xunjie's been integrated with the business school, the business students, as well as students from electrical engineering, mechanical engineering as well. So everything is interdisciplinary. And the new Swartz Center that's upstairs is 8,000 square foot of melting pot at Carnegie Mellon.
Yeah.
Okay. How many years is it going to take for me to look back and say, man, I knew that guy, and now he's a multimillionaire. He just licenses technology to Nike, and they're making shoes and distributing them all around the world, and people are moving awfully fast.
Good question. I've never thought about making myself a multimillionaire.
That's true. Entrepreneurs are about creating value for the world, right? And money is a great ancillary benefit, but that's not the driving force.
Right.
I'm excited. I'm extremely excited that one day I see hopefully hundreds of thousands of people using the product, actually saving the time, getting their life back in their daily commuting. That's, I think, what really motivates me, really excites me.
How far away are we from that with your product?
So we're looking, so this is actually not the latest models now. That was built actually 8 months ago. So we are actually looking into transition to manufacturing sometimes next year.
Oh,
so
wow.
by the end, next year, we will have them on the shelf.
Right. The ultimate market for this is the last mile commute, right?
Right.
But the entry point where we're going to come into the market is that university students who still have to walk a long way and are great early adopters of cool new technology. So we'll start with the universities, especially ones like Penn State or Pitt or Carnegie Mellon, where people have to walk a mile or two, and this will improve their commute. Right, but then ultimately we'll be in those markets. I do want to introduce Sam Blake over here.
Hi, Sam.
Hi, nice to meet you, John.
Sam is a member of the Graduate Entrepreneurship Club. He's a leader in that club. And I do want to say the Swartz Center has one motivation, right? Stop working for the man.
I love that.
Work for yourself. Right? Chart your own course.
I followed that advice,
and
finally.
You did.
It took me a long while, though.
Right.
Okay?
And you have.
Way too long.
Poets and Quants has created great value in the world. Great value in the world. So we're going to have an unveiling, all right? Sam is going to loosen that tie, take off the jacket, and become an entrepreneur. Will you do that for us?
Come on. I want to see this.
Yeah.
Come on.
There we go.
Go for it.
You have made me so happy, Sam.
And you don't even need a telephone booth.
There we go. Look at he's Superman. Look at him, man. He's buff. But Sam is part of the community. He's more on the investing side, and so tell him a little bit about how you've worked.
Voila.
Voila. I feel better already.
Yeah. There you go. You can actually think.
I was going to say, I feel like a lot more oxygen's coming up
your head
right now. No, but like Dave said, I've been involved since my time at the Tepper School of Business and Carnegie Mellon University, primarily in the Graduate Entrepreneurship Club. I'm currently a board member there. And where I've really found my passion is more in the investment space, so to hopefully get capital to people like Xunjie that are building these amazing products and amazing companies. So I've been able to participate with a venture fund, Illuminate Ventures, that was founded by a Tepper alum, Cindy Padnos, that's home base is actually out in the Bay Area. But she saw a few years ago a lot of opportunity in Pittsburgh due to our incredible university, CMU, the University of Pittsburgh, and the ecosystem in here as it was starting to evolve. And so she started what we refer to as a student in residence program. So that's currently the position I hold. And basically the simplified answer of what I do is source deals in Pittsburgh for her fund. So I love it because I get to meet really talented founders, other people that are very influential in the Pittsburgh ecosystem. And this is home base for me besides school, so it's been a great opportunity.
Now, did you come here knowing you wanted to do this, or is this something you discovered while you were here?
Well, I had a little bit of an intuition that I wanted to do it. I met Dave, and as you can tell, he can convince anyone to follow any sort of passion of theirs. So I really got fired up after that. Yeah, but it was something I was interested in, and the opportunities both at Tepper, through the Swartz Center, through CMU in general, have really allowed me to explore that passion and, like I said, get connected to a network that I don't think would have been possible just on my own. So it's been just a wonderful experience.
Really cool thing that will tie back to John. John's based in Oakland, and we visited Poets and Quants there many times, and it's a really cool space. Cindy is actually based in Oakland, and we're based here. This part of Pittsburgh is called Oakland. So Cindy talks about the Oakland to Oakland Bridge.
I love that.
And the Brookings Institute did a study about the innovation ecosystem in Pittsburgh and said, double down, triple down on Oakland. That's where it's happening. Carnegie Mellon, the University of Pittsburgh, the UPMC health system. There's amazing people here that are doing amazing things. And we need capital from your Oakland to come to this Oakland, right?
Oh, definitely. And if anybody is looking for someone to know the ecosystem that wants to bring capital here, I'm more than happy to talk to them too.
Okay, that's a commercial, folks.
Well, it's what the ecosystem is, John, right?
That's really true.
There's many, many facets to it.
You know, when I think the center that you're in charge of, I really think of that's the epicenter of this whole idea of interdisciplinary collaboration at the Tepper School. Because for one thing, the center is a university-wide center of entrepreneurship. It's not a business school center. For another, you're great evidence of bringing in people from other schools, other departments, other disciplines, bringing them into the center and having them work with business school students and others to make magic happen.
Absolutely, yeah. And this was made possible by Jim and Susan Swartz. Jim is the founder of Accel Capital, which is based in the Bay Area. People who don't know
another good
Capital.
VC player, and a major one.
They were the institutional VC that was first into Facebook. Just to give people an example of the influence of this firm.
That's right. You get money from them. It's like having a magic wand waved over your head.
And so we get a little bit of that Accel Facebook mojo back here to the Swartz Center in Pittsburgh, and that's really, really exciting. And the idea is to attract these people, and I'll just make a pun. And so there's an intersection of the computer science students, the business students, the arts students, the design students. That's what it's all about, right?
Intersect at CMU.
Yep.
Indeed. Okay, let's pretend I'm an incoming student and I have an idea. What do I do with it?
Well, let's ask Xunjie, because that's exactly what happened to him. This was a twinkle in his eye 2.5 years ago, and
That
here we
twinkle
are.
is still there.
Oh, yeah.
And we're on what's called Mark 7. That's version 7 of the prototype.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think thank you. I think you should really take advantage of all the Connect series, all the great lectures that's taught by people like Dave and other great entrepreneurs. You should join the entrepreneurship boot camp probably that happened in the first couple of weeks when you first arrived there. I was there about 3 years ago. That was kind of sparks, really sparks inside
That's where it
of my
happened
head.
for you.
Yeah, exactly.
So you went there and you immediately saw, this is a place that can not only be a home for me, but this is a place where I'll find the supportive people to make my dream come true.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was first time I had a chance to not just to make friends with, computer science people, but also with the people with different background, the business student, the designer, the hustlers, and the developers all together. Was when I start seeing those boundaries start getting more and more blurry. We have lots of exciting sparks that's happening, and that's why I start focusing more and more on building sort of a product and startup from CMU.
That's terrific. I mean, one of the big things you have is the convening power of the center to bring all these different people together. You have some formal mechanisms, obviously, some of them that you just mentioned. You have some seed capital available to help people get a start. You have space now, plenty of space, with your 10 startup garages, which is just on the periphery of the entire center, because then there's the core of the center where a lot of other stuff is going to happen.
Yeah, it's a totally reconfigurable space. This weekend we had our entrepreneurship boot camp. We had 400 theater-style seats in there, right? So it looked like a theater, and it was rocking. Sam and the GEC did a entrepreneurship 101 piece that was just really good. Wow. Then the week started, and we had our Connect series, and we reconfigured it into a classroom. Right? Today, if you walk up there, we have an event space. It's like a conference, right? And we have 10 teams displaying their products and services, doing pitches on a screen as big as that screen is right up there. So it's just an amazing space where people can come and develop their ideas. That's what happened with Sam. He wasn't doing a product. Sam was like, I want to be involved in the investment side. Tell your story.
Yeah, it was similar to Xunjie's. I got involved with the entrepreneurship boot camp, first of all, which was a wonderful experience. Xunjie described it perfectly. It's the first time where you really are on campus and not just surrounded by people studying what you are. So it was the flip side. Instead of being around only business students, I was getting to meet the engineers, the computer scientists, the art students. And as Dave said, that model is where all of the greatest and best technologies come from, is those three factors coming together. So it started there, the Graduate Entrepreneurship Club, which is also cross-campus. It's not only for the Tepper School of Business, but all graduate schools. So I got involved with that because I knew getting outside of the doors of this school was a great way to build my network and to meet some of the smarter people. We always joke that the business people, as far as intelligence on this campus, are kind of down here. It's the computer scientists, the engineers, and everyone.
Oh, we know that.
Oh, exactly.
The geeks rule.
I was going to say, so those are the people you want to meet. And the really cool thing about the new building and the new Swartz Center is now the Tepper School of Business is that home for everybody to come in. So it's not the Tepper students having to leave to find it. It's let's bring everybody in here, and let's make this a really powerful community at CMU.
Right.
That's great.
We're the geographic dead center of this university now, right? It's a 2-minute walk from the School of Computer Sciences, a 2-minute walk from the Robotics Institute, it's a 30-second walk from Heinz, 5-minute walk from the School of Engineering. It's here. It's easy. Before, we didn't have that space that was a gathering space, right?
Right.
And so there is formal programs. There are formal desks that people work at. And beyond the 10 garages, we have 50 other teams that are working in that space, right?
Wow.
But it becomes a community, and that's really, really important, and that's what we were striving for.
So to answer your original question, if you were a new student with idea, we would say just come to the Swartz Center. You're probably going to meet someone that's also interested in that idea.
And maybe an investor or two.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely. Well, John is an entrepreneur, right? John used to work for the man, McGraw-Hill.
I did. I
doing
worked for the
Business
man
Week,
for a long
and
time.
Look at him now.
Oh
He
my
is
God,
rocking it.
You know, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Do I need to hold that for you?
Come
Oh
on.
man,
Come on, I'm taking
Twice
this
in
off.
one day.
I'm
That's
giving
right.
it up.
There we go.
Entirely. Come on.
All right.
None of this stuff. All right, come on. Let me just take it
Yeah,
off.
there, let me help you with that.
Yeah, let's just
Yeah,
get this
there we
done,
go.
okay?
All right.
All right. That's
All
much
right.
better. Much better. Much
Beautiful.
better.
All right. Now you can think.
Okay. Here's the other thing I want to make a point. You know, there are a lot of naysayers out there who say, "Hey, wait a minute. You have an idea. You want to launch a company. Take your money and use it as your seed capital. Don't be paying it on tuition for an MBA." I think all of you guys here are disproving that naysayer comment that we often hear in the Valley and other places.
You know, this isn't about just coming and taking classes. This is about creating lifelong relationships, right?
Right.
And it's about exchanging ideas of people from different backgrounds, from different educations, right? That's what's amazing about that.
That's really good. 10 years from now, for the three of you, how do you see this unfolding? What role will this building and the people in it play?
Well, I'm going to take a crack at that first, and
Go
these
ahead.
guys, I really want to hear their answer. But the way that I frame it is, Stanford has Google, Harvard has Facebook, Carnegie Mellon has, maybe it's Nimbus, right? That's what we're striving for, that household name that everybody associates back with Carnegie Mellon. Matt Rogers created the iPhone. Nobody says, oh, the iPhone was Carnegie Mellon. They say it was Apple, right? We need to really create that brand awareness of Carnegie Mellon in the world. That's what this place will do.
Yeah.
And you know it's going to come out of artificial intelligence,
Yeah.
autonomous vehicles, or
Yeah.
robotics, or a combination of all three.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I want to continue, well, whether it was a robotic shoes or whatever technology, as exactly as you said, three different technology. I want to continue to be working in that space, building startups, and hopefully making a huge impact to the society, being able to serve, not just 100,000, but also millions of people. And most importantly, at some point, if I ever become successful, is to give back to whatever I learned, and not just financial resource, but also the knowledge back to the CMU, back to the
Yes.
Swartz Center.
Yeah.
That's great.
And to continue this, I mean, for me personally, hopefully being able to bring a bigger fund to Pittsburgh to put money, like I said, into Xunjie's companies, because I feel spoiled every day because I get to meet people like Xunjie and all the other amazing people that are building really cool things here. And like Dave said, it's only a matter of time at this point until one of these things becomes the next biggest and best company, not only in the United States, but in the entire world perhaps. And I personally am just couldn't be more excited to be part of kind of that turning point here. So 10 years from now, I hope that we have that household name. I hope you hear about all sorts of capital coming into Pittsburgh to put more and more resources in it. And like Xunjie said, I just hope to take any sort of experience I have and bring it back as knowledge capital as well.
Yeah.
Okay, Dave, you're a serial entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You sold your last company to LinkedIn.
Yep.
I'm sure you made a fortune. But what was more fun, creating the companies that you did in your past, or helping others create the companies of the future?
Well, I've been fortunate enough to be able to do both. I've done 5 companies with the e-commerce theme and then with the AI recommendation engine theme. But just like these gentlemen, I was at a point in my life, I was at a crossroads. Do I start another company, or do I dive in and sort of help the next generation? Well, guess what? I get to do both, right?
Yeah, it's really
because
true.
we work with hundreds of companies, but there's 4 or 5 companies that I dive really deep with. I'm on the board of directors, or I'm an advisor to the company, so that I can help them and create network connections for them, because they don't have them yet, right? So that's what I feel very fortunate to be able to do.
Terrific. Well, listen, it's been a real pleasure to chat with all three of you. I do think, as I said before, that your center is going to be really the epicenter of what this building is all about, because it's your center that's going to be the magnet to draw in faculty and students from all over the campus to make special things happen. So thank you.
John, thank you so
Hey,
much.
what a
It's really
pleasure.
great to see you. And thank
Really.
you for loosening up.
Yeah, you look great, John. I was going to
was
say,
awesome.
it's wonderful.
You're an inspiration.
Oh,
Okay.
it was a pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much.
Thank you
And
so
good luck.
much.
I can't wait to put on those pair of shoes in
Yeah,
a year or
yeah,
two.
yeah.
You know?
Come up later
Can't
today.
wait.
Well, come on
When you're
later
done,
today.
and we'll let you do
We'll
it.
do the demo. We'll let you do
Whoa,
it. Yeah.
really?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, you got it. You
Yeah,
got
yeah,
it.
yeah.
That's
I'll
really
be
cool.
there.
All right.
Right.
Hey, thank you guys.
Thank
so
you.
much,
All right.
John.
Okay, how about that? We have 9 minutes left before the festivities start back on the stage with other panel discussions with blockchain technology and with artificial intelligence and machine learning. And before we do that, we have 3 more MBA students. Yes?
Yes.
Hi there.
Natalie, nice to meet you.
Hi, Natalie.
Asia, nice
Hi,
to meet
Asha.
you.
How are you?
Ever.
Ever.
Nice to meet you.
So, you 3 are all first-year MBAs.
Yes, we are.
What's it been like? It's now what, 3 weeks?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. What's it been like?
It's been a lot to adjust to. We are coming from having careers and now coming back to school and being students again, which has been
Oh, that's a
big adjustment.
transition.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because the average person has 4 to 5 years of work experience before they get here, right?
Yes, yes, and I've been out. Yeah, and I've been out of work. I mean, I've been out of school for 7 years. So yeah.
Wow.
But it's been a very great transition, very collaborative and supportive network. So.
Okay, so let's describe where you've been and where you come from, and what you hope to achieve at Tepper.
I'll be happy to share that. I lived in Houston for 10 years, 12 years. And I come to Tepper because I would like to pursue an executive role, and I'm here to develop those skill sets and to meet the people that will help me achieve my goals.
What were you doing in Houston?
I was working in innovation and technology in the energy industry at Chevron.
Ah, okay, great. And Asia, how about you?
So my background's in chemical engineering, but I was also in Houston, and
Okay.
I was working for Solvay, a chemical company, and I went from a manufacturing role to internal consulting. So I'm looking forward to pivot into more marketing, strategy, and entrepreneurship.
So the MBA for you is a transition tool.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay, Natalie.
And I also was in Houston for the last 4 years. I'm
You're
from
kidding.
Yeah, I know.
And
I
you know,
know.
I just
Yeah.
came in from Houston last night.
It's great. It was
Okay.
an awesome city, but I'm actually from here.
Okay.
I have an energy finance background, and like I said, I was in Houston for the last 3.
And what were you doing there?
I was in energy finance. I was an investment analyst. So we were
An investment
investing.
analyst,
Yes,
okay.
we were investing in the energy space, and specifically in renewables. And so I want to use this opportunity to use my energy background and the tech that Carnegie Mellon and Tepper can offer, and kind of merge that together and use more for sustainability.
Okay, 3 weeks. Give me your first impressions and what has surprised you most about Tepper.
I really love the people and the diversity of backgrounds. I feel like I became 10 times smarter just in the last 3 weeks by being surrounded by such great people. And the building, it just speaks to me. It says limitless opportunities and possibilities.
I mean, that's a special treat. Not only are you starting a whole new part of your life, a new chapter, but you're starting it in a whole new book, this building, right?
Yes, that's quite the treat.
Asia, what are your first impressions and the biggest surprise so far?
I think I heard a lot about how connected the campus was with the
Yeah.
different business schools or different schools, but I felt it when I went to a Connect series, and I was able to learn about design thinking with undergrads and people from different master's programs, and just really kind of think of new innovative ideas together. So
Okay, and tell people what a Connect series is.
yeah, so the Connect series is held by the Swartz Center for Entrepreneurship, and they have a range of topics from starting your business or things like I went to, which was the design thinking, but in the same week they had one for entrepreneurship for with acquisition. So really just a range of ways for you to dive into entrepreneurship and get to build that network of people that are also interested in entrepreneurship throughout CMU.
Right, so it's not only about connecting with ideas like design thinking, it's connecting with people from other disciplines, students from other departments and colleges here.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, cool. Your biggest surprise so far?
I think just how easily it is to just connect with all the people and like
right.
all the friendships that we've made. Like day one, right off the bat, our base camp was great. Just getting so many different backgrounds and like from geographically to our industry and just how we all click and how it's so diverse, but we all get along so well.
Okay, toughest part of the transition. What's been the most difficult part after having left undergrad a number of years ago, gone into the world of work, and now you're back at school?
Schedule management.
Schedule management.
Yes.
Okay, it's
Yes.
basically priority, time management, and figuring out what do I do when.
Exactly. After 12 years of being out in the industry, it's difficult to come back and say, 24 hours, I have to do homework and I have to go to class and I have to manage my personal life and relationships.
Well, the big thing a lot of students say is fear of missing out.
Yes.
There's so many things to explore, so many new people to meet, so much fun to have, so much hard work to do, that you kind of are pulled in all these different directions. Is that true?
Yes, very true. And we have midterms next week. So
No, already?
Yes, 2 midterms next
Ooh.
week. Yes, so it's very, very busy time. But I think because we're so collaborative, we can manage it because we're managing it together. And that's like one thing that's special about our community.
That's great.
For me, it's not having any money anymore.
Oh, but well, you're going to be
used to
swimming
having a
in the money, kid. Don't worry about that.
Yes. And just like the food, I love the restaurants. Like the food
Yeah.
scene here is really great. So it's really hard to realize that we can't just be going out to eat every night and we have to manage that well.
The joys and tribulations of being an MBA student today. Love it. Well, listen, congratulations to all of you on making a terrific selection for your school.
Thank you.
And how great it is to start off your MBA in a brand new building like this.
Yes.
Because it is really a spectacular building.
Yes.
So thanks for joining us.
Yeah,
We
thank
really
you so
appreciate
much.
it.
Thank
And
you.
good luck.
Great meeting you. Thank
take
you.
care.
Very nice to meet you.
Thanks. Take care. All right. So, folks, we are going to go back to the stage soon for the rest of Intersect at CMU. We still have a lot of great content for you. And again, in between these sessions, I'll come back. We'll meet some faculty members, some other business leaders, some more students to explore the topics and what life is like at the Tepper School of Business. So let's go back to the stage.